In the last episode, I was working on the lake between the stream and the sea of blue. It's this large white bowl containing lots and lots of plants, a tapestry of plants connecting the stream to the sea. It's basically a glorified succulent bowl arrangement, and you've seen my planting technique with the different types of plants involved in the design. In this episode, we're going to continue where we left off, and first we need to see what needs to be done. It's review time. The last few episodes focuses on this area. This is the area that I call the Patreon Shrine. For those of you who are new to my channel, this Patreon Shrine is my tribute to my Patreon sponsors, and I patterned the design after the 12 Apostles. It's a rock formation in regional Victoria. You would clearly see here that I have a few pedestals. There's 5 on top and 5 large bowls in the ground. In between them are light colored pebbles, some rocks, some stumps. Basically warm colors, browns, reds, purples, oranges, pinks. And if you look at the ground, it's a bit sparse right now. In an episode or 2 ago, I cleared out the space. I removed all of the dwarf blue chalk sticks because they were getting too tall. They were smothering the other plants. There's a height difference that I didn't really like. It wasn't working for me. So the next step here is to redo the ground, redo the tapestry on the ground. I call this a sea of blue, and I use mostly blue or light green type of echeverias. And these are directly contrasting against the pedestals. I'm really happy with how the bowl turned out because it fits the theme of nature. Basically, the stream that started on that little mound over there goes into the bowl, forming some sort of lake. And from the lake, we see a waterfall of pearls, which leads down to the sea of blue. I like putting some thought into my landscape. So as you can see, this part here, the waterfalls of pearls or the water pearls, they are leading into a blank piece of, I don't know what to call this yet, but the drop off is bare at the moment. And this transition is something that I would like to think about more, especially if my goal is to go with the theme, you know. That way that bit would work with this part. There's no disconnect, no abrupt change to the design. Because historically I was working on each part of the garden in stages, and each part had a different design. And these days all I'm doing is working on the transition from one area to the next and making them fit with the overall design. But while I was thinking about this part, it dawned on me that I should probably work on this bowls first, because by the time that I fill up the gaps, fill up the sea, it would be a lot harder for me to get to the bowls and work on the bowls, because there would be less space, less room for me to move in, to work with. I've got 5 bowls. They are partly submerged and they are quite large, 55 centimeters each. I think that's a foot and a half. I'm not really sure. I haven't really thought about converting it yet. But my main goal here is to do the same like the pedestals, place a large, an imposing plant, something that would be grabbing your attention immediately, which means that they need to be large and they need to be contrasting against the sea of blue. And it is exactly for that reason that you'll notice that the plants here are all dark, mahogany, maroon, purple, red, that sort of thing. Because I would like them, they're closer to the blues in the sea. They should stand out, they should pop out. There are 5 plants here. I'm pretty sure about this 3 in the middle. As for the outer 2, I'm still trying to make up my mind with them. So before I walk you through my dilemma, let me show you the plants. This one right here in the middle, this is an echeveria red sapphire, or at least that's what I think it is. When I bought it a few years ago, it was, I think 3 years ago now. No, 2.5. It came with a tag of red sales, but upon checking, this used to be my largest echeveria. It was almost 2 feet in length. That's 52 centimeters. But I've reset it in, I can't remember when, sometime last year, which is why its width has reduced again. But I remember how big, how wide it used to be, which is why I placed it in the middle. It is the largest of them all. Right next to it is the echeveria bittersweet. I think This is more or less its final size, the biggest size. I haven't seen bittersweets larger than this yet, but I might be wrong. I bought this sometime last year, so it is a year old under my care now. I placed it off center somewhere here because it's still quite large, but it doesn't go as large as the red sapphire. Slightly lower rank. I can say the same for this one. This is an Echeveria Mary Butterfield. I got it at around the same time as the bittersweet, and I think this is more or less the size that it can get up to. Maybe just a bit bigger, but nowhere near as large as the red sapphire's maximum size. So like the bittersweet, it is on a slightly lower level compared to the red sails. No, red sapphire. Now for this one in the far right, yeah, on the far right, that's an Echeveria pastel. It's a lovely hybrid. It turns mostly pink and slightly orange during winter, and you can clearly see that it's tending towards orange pink now. As for its maximum size, it might be a bit bigger than that. I remember chopping it last year as well, so it has shrunk down in size. I'm not sure if it was its maximum size already, but I think it was about the same size as this one, as the bittersweet. But it didn't struck me particularly large. Well, it was large compared to my other echeverias here, but again, comparatively speaking, it might just be as large as the bittersweet. And I placed it at the far right because if you follow the color gradient, the red sapphire would be the most colorful of the bunch. This two, more or less, but the pastel, if you compare it to the same conditions as the rest are getting, it still hasn't quite gotten the full extent of its warm colors, which is why I think for gradient purposes, for contrast purposes, it is better off at the side. Now finally, for this part, I am not sure if I want this plant to be here. This is an unlabeled Gibiflora hybrid. We do not know what it is. It is most likely seed grown, and I don't know what the parents are. You could clearly see from its stem, the very thick stem, that it is quite mature. It has been, I don't know, maybe years. It is a few years old, which means that growth-wise, size-wise, it might not be much bigger than that, the current size anymore. Unlike the other rosettes that I have here, that one seems to be quite taller, which is why I'm having reservations about picking it as the piece to go at the far left side. So this part I'm struggling with, and I'm not sure if I want to commit to using that one. Now, since I'm working on the stream and the bowl and the water pearls, the gap here should be, I need to be able to work on this gap here, but in order to do that, I need to finalize the plant on the left side. And for that reason, I think I might be better off if I move the pastel over there. That way I have already committed to it, plant it in there, then think about this part some other time. I might need your help with that. I'll be showing you a bunch of plants towards the end of this video, so you could help me decide. But until then, let's start working on this part now. We now have 4 plants in, which leaves us with 1 more empty bowl, which I can't really decide which plant to use, because there's a bunch of plants that I want to feature prominently here, and I'm emotionally invested in almost all of them, which makes it so hard for me to just decide on one. This is where I need your help. So again, just for reference, this bowl is 55 centimeters. Let me just look up how much that is in feet for those of you on the other side of the pond. So it says here that 55 centimeters is about 21.6 inches, which is almost 2 feet. So that's around 1 foot and 9.5 inches, somewhere there. So it's quite large, as you could imagine. This means that I need to pair it with a plant that similarly grows quite large, just so it looks balanced. You know how Thanos likes it. So let me walk you through some of my choices. This is an echeveria curls. This is one of my larger curls in my collection. This used to be the largest at around 45 to 46 centimeters. That's about 1.5 feet, I think. But it's looking comparatively small right now, because back in summer it had all of these pops growing at the bottom and I harvested all of them. In fact, there's still one of them here. Let me show you. This one right here, and if I remove this, this would just further create more bulb spots underneath, and it's due to be removed anyway. So let me just go do that. Quite a large pop, and unfortunately this is what is remaining of the plant. Removing this pop made it look even smaller now, so I really want to use this, but it is not as large or as imposing as the other plants. But I've got lots of other curl specimens. Let me just show you. Here's the next one. As you can see, it's not that much larger than the pop that I just removed, and the pop is more dense than this one, which is a pity, but I like it. And yet another one here. This is another curl specimen. It has a few pops underneath. So I imagine that if I remove the pops, it would be a bit smaller, but I guess it is about the same size as the one that I showed you just now. So have a look at it. So that's the first option, echeveria curls. I'll have to pick from one of those 3 that I just showed you. This is the next specimen that I wanted to try. It's an echeveria Dix Pink, and this is one of my first few frilly plants, so it has a sentimental value to me. Quite old. It's looking lovely right now with all of those red tips, but it only gets this colorful during the colder months, which is why I'm having reservations about it, because I want those plants to be constantly on the warm side, you know, reddish, orangish, pinkish, purplish, flesh. And the Dix Pink tends to be green for most of the year during the warmer months, unless I give it a lot of sunlight. So maybe it will be more red if I leave it out there, but it is pretty close to the fence, which means that it won't be getting as much sunlight anyway. So it might just be staying green. Still, I like its shape, I like its looks, I like its colors. It's still one of my choices. I'm not sure how large this one can go, but this socialite is something that I would like to include as well, because as you can see, the colors, it is a lot similar to the colors of the echeveria pastel, which I used on the other side, which means that if I use this on the right side, they might balance out each other because they have the same range of colors, if you know what I mean. The only thing holding me back with this one is I do not know what its maximum size would be, but I have a feeling that it is pretty close to the pastel, so it might make a good partner maybe. Yeah. I also really like this Alice. It's this frilly one right here, and it is a compact rosette. So far it looks like it is growing quite fast, and that's something I really like about it. I'm not sure how big it can get, but for the past year that I had this, it has grown significantly from since when I got it. I think it was just this size when I got it before. I've actually got another one right here, which is a lot smaller than this one. And I think that mainly has to do with its position in the garden. The other one is a lot more stressed, considerably more stressed than this one. This one has been near the fence for so long that it has been growing happily throughout summer. So I guess that explains why as well. And that's also my main concern about it, because as you can see, it is quite green since it is near the fence, and I wonder if the new spot would be giving it a lot more sunlight, because I at least want it to be more warm colored, which I guess is possible because the other alleys I have is more red than this one. So maybe if it was more exposed, like if it was in the pot right there, it would be more red. So this is why this is also pretty high in my list. And here's a few other choices, and let's go from left to right. So the first one here, this is an Echeveria County Fair. I think it can grow quite large, but my reservation about this is that, like the Dix Pink, it is mostly green throughout the year, but it develops red tips. Yeah, like the Dix Pink, it also had red tips. Only this one has larger leaves, larger edge curls. It's a larger plant overall, I think. Or at least the Dix Pink has tighter curls, more dense rosette. Yeah, which means that the County Fair tends to be taller, faster than the Dix Pink due to the spacing of the leaves. This next one here, this is an Echeveria Princess Lace. I like its color. Even during the warmer months, it tends to have this orangish hue, but during the colder months, it turns a bright orange. So you can see the color shifting now. I'm not sure what the maximum size is, but I think it would be similar to the pastel, only this one is a lot less denser, and like the County Fair, it might grow tall quickly. I'm having reservations about the rosettes, about the echeverias that grow tall quickly, because they might be causing an imbalance in the design, because I want it to be, the tallest would be at the center, the biggest, and tapering outwards. So I don't know how big this one can get, but I imagine that it would be taller rather than bigger and wider. The third one is an Echeveria Firelight. I haven't seen a mature one, and I had this in my collection for almost 2 years now. I got it as a tiny pup, so I'm not really sure how it would look like once it is fully mature. I got it mainly because, for the same reason that I picked the County Fair, it is frilly, it is red. Only I think this one is more red than the County Fair, because I remember this still being red during summer. This is a redder option of the County Fair. I might even just kick this out. Wait, but the thing is, I don't even know how big this one can get, so that's the reason why County Fair is still in the choices. The fourth one here is the Double Delight. It is being sold as Moon Goddess in Australia, so you might have seen it under that name. Now, I'm pretty sure this one can grow big. I have a bigger one somewhere in the garden. I think it can go something like this. And it is a compact rosette. No, not compact, a dense rosette. It has lots and lots of curls. Colors wise, I think it is perfect. It fits the description. It fits the range of colors that I want. It is mostly orangish, pale orange, going rusty towards brown, and a bit of red during the colder months. So it's basically a darker Princess Lace, only the curls are larger. It can get larger, it has more leaves. This is why it is in the choices as well, because I know how big it can get. Now, as for the downside, historically I've had lots of issues with all of my Double Delights. Although they're doing fine now, but in the past they are easily taken down by mealybugs. Actually, this one has an infestation right now. I'm currently treating it. But compared to the other echeverias that you see here, this one seems to be weaker compared to the others. I mean, I find that I really have to be on top of it with the treatments just to keep it from losing too much leaves. So yeah, that's my only concern about it. It's the health. And finally, this is an Echeveria Alma Wilson. I think this is similar to my Tutti Frutti at the back, only right now this one is smaller. And I think the edge curls of this one are a bit larger, but I like it but I like the Alma Wilson because it is compact. It does not get too tall, which is really perfect for something that has to go at the edge of the arrangement, you know. My reservation about this is that I do not know what its maximum size would be. Echeverias in Oz list them as, I think, 30 to 35 centimeters, but they usually just post conservative figures on their website. So yeah, this one I think would be a more compact version of the Double Delight, a healthier version, I think. So I might have to lean towards this if I pick between these two. The only thing again is that I do not know what the maximum size of the Alma Wilson is, which is why I can't just favor it over the Double Delight. Yeah, as you can see, I've got lots of pros and cons for each one, including those not included here. There's a few that I really want to use, but you know, I'm constantly going between one plant and the other due to lots of what ifs running in my mind. So I think this is where I would need your help. Tell me what you think. Tell me which one you would think would look nice, and please approach it from a purely design standpoint. The other things, they might not be as significant because basically I'm working on a design and it has to be, and the plants need to be in harmony with the design. My sentimental attachment to these plants is clouding my judgment, getting the better of me, so I need a fresh set of eyes or a fresh set of opinions from everyone. So let me know in the comments. Write down your choice and tell me what you think. Tell me why you picked the plant that you picked. Let's do a bit of crowdsourcing. In the next episode, I'm going to continue working on this pot. I'm going to design the drop-off around the pearls before I continue on and filling up the sea of blue. And doing this first would give me enough time to think about the plant to place in the last bowl, as well as to gather your opinions. And with all of that said, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Cerriscapades is made possible with the support of my Patreon sponsors. Patreon allows you to support content creators like me with a small monthly donation. You can pledge your support by heading over to patreon.com/Cerriscapades. If you're in Australia, I've got some of my plants for sale. Check out my plant shop at cerriscapades.com/theplant shop with dashes.